Thought for 20s. $2.9 billion disappeared on my watch in a single afternoon. Yeah, that happened. And I did the dumbest thing a man with his name on a skyline can do. I punched my own desk and watched the awards tremble like they were scared of me too. Alarms bled through the glass. Numbers were falling like rain, and my security chief, Caleb Ward, had that tight, careful voice people use when the truth is worse than the words. They're in everything, sir, every firewall, every backup, all of it. Let me back up a sec. I used to think I was untouchable. I'm Victor Hale, founder of Aegis Dynamics, 3 floors at the top of my own tower in downtown Chicago. Forbes liked me, the markets loved me, and I loved the mirror. You know what I mean? By sundown the stock was a cliff, and we were swan diving off it. I told them to shut it all down, cut power to the servers, go dark, but darkness doesn't put a fire out. It just helps you pretend you can't feel the heat. My CFO, Leah Foster, dropped a report thick enough to stop a bullet. Ransomware everywhere, customer data sealed. Down the hall, a woman I'd never once greeted by name pushed a cleaning cart past the suits sprinting in circles. Rosa Alvarez, night crew, invisible by design. And riding on the front of her cart, legs swinging, eyes way too alert for midnight, was her 7-year-old, Maya. I didn't know any of that yet. I just knew the FBI cyber unit wanted to advise. The board wanted my head on a platter with parsley, and the press wanted me on live TV bleeding contrition. I turned off my phone and slept on the office couch like a man hiding from gravity. Day 3, the walls felt closer. The board set a liquidation vote for 3 p.m. because courage loves a deadline. Ward said the attack was unlike anything he'd ever seen. Deceptive keys. Recursive traps. Backups salted months ago. Translation: this wasn't a smash and grab. This was an assassination. Somewhere in the building, Rosa moved slower than usual. Pain flaring in her chest the way it does when your oncologist says words that make the room tilt. She'd kept the cancer quiet to keep the insurance. She had 1 pill left and a daughter who watched her like a hawk watches the ground for movement. The collision came stupidly, like most miracles do. My assistant buzzed, voice unsure. A child is insisting on seeing you. I almost laughed, then something, call it Kath, call it fatigue, call it grace, made me say, send her in. The door opened, and that little girl marched toward my desk like a federal prosecutor with a bedtime. Mr. Hale, I know how to fix it. Her mother, mortified, tried to reel her back. But there was a steadiness in the kid's eyes I recognized from a bathroom mirror 20 years earlier. Show me, I said, because arrogance is just curiosity with a trust fund. Maya climbed into my chair like she'd been waiting her whole life to be that height. Fingers moving fast but careful, eyes narrowing. Not at the panic on our screens, but at the patterns beneath the panic. It's not random, she said, soft but sure. It has a signature, a hidden back door in the bad code, see? Not a stock grant. She wanted me to get her mom this special medicine the doctor said cost too much for regular people. You want to talk about a heart cracking? Mine didn't split like a log. It just gave up pretending it was made of stone. I called Ward and our head of cyber, Dr. Nora Greer, and my private physician, told them to move. By midnight, our crisis room looked like a hurricane diagrammed on every whiteboard we owned, and at the eye of it, hair pinned back with a pink beret, jaw set, was Maya, conducting pros with PhDs like she was teaching them their native tongue with a new accent. It was part science, part music. Follow the fingerprints, not the ransom note, she told them. And damned if the screens didn't start blinking in ways that looked like hope. Then the phone rang, and the past walked in without knocking. Damon Rourke, my ex-CTO, fired 18 months earlier for lifting proprietary algorithms, slid into my ear like a splinter. Enjoying my handiwork, Victor? Suddenly the story made a ugly kind of sense, the sophistication. And an $80 million man forgot how to swallow for a second. Business is people, she said. That's 5,327 families, I counted. You could feel priorities shift in the room, almost hear a hinge creak in the collective soul. And then the clock bared its teeth. Dead man switch. Ward muttered when Maya found the countdown buried deep. If the attacker lost control, the code would eat itself and us with it. 40 minutes. The FBI called from our secondary site in Evanston. Damon wasn't there, but someone had been routing through that facility for months. Maya tilted her head at the sound of Damon's voice on a later call and said, like she was identifying a bird by its song, he was in a big room, lots of machines, an intercom that said Sector 7. The agents narrowed the grid. We didn't have 40 minutes anymore. We had 8. If you can't stop water, you reroute the river. That's how Maya explained it while building a virtual containment field on the fly, a sandbox inside a sandbox, layers of digital Kevlar meant to catch a blast designed to melt steel. Damon, watching us on a hijacked feed from a retrofitted RV by Navy Pier, realized the dead man's switch had outrun even him. I can't abort it, he said. Had the humility to do. She asked our enemy for help. He gave her a 3-line trick, recursion on line 427. His voice grudgingly respectful. And together they split the cascade into a dozen smaller detonations and dragged it toward her makeshift vaults. 30 seconds. 15. 10. That day, I almost did. The twist landed while the room was still vibrating. Rosa burst in with Harold Boone, our building services manager, a man I'd never looked at twice. He admitted, sweating, ashamed, that a consultant from our chief competitor, Helios Quantum, had paid him 18 months ago to install monitoring tools on both my and Damon's machines. Felix Chong at Helios wanted a war, and he'd gotten one. Damon and I were the puppets, the wire hidden in the ceiling. The FBI agents with Damon nodded grimly. The frame job was clean. The motive cleaner. Vengeance had been borrowed, weaponized, returned with interest. The board withdrew the vote. We kept breathing. That should be the end of the story. Cue the bell. Roll credits. But survival without repentance is just a sequel to the same mistake. 2 weeks later, I stood on stage in our auditorium. Not as the conquering CEO, but as the man who'd watched a janitor's daughter save his life, and I changed the company on purpose. Raises for the bottom, not the top. Health coverage with no and less. The Catherine Hale Foundation launched with $500 million and a promise that talent would never be held hostage by zip code again. The first scholarship bore a name I will never forget, the Maya Alvarez Fellowship. Rosa didn't want charity, so I offered purpose. She now runs our community programs. Turns out when you've balanced 3 jobs, a daughter's homework, and chemo schedules, stakeholder management is easy. Maya's innovations, 17 separate ideas from that long night, went into patents in her name. The licensing estimates made Rosa put her hands over her mouth and sit down. Damon took a deal to help the government find holes in the systems men like me pretend are bulletproof. He'll never be my friend. Except a medal almost as big as her smile. She still forgets to tie her shoes, still tilts her head when she's listening for the sound a problem makes. Still tucks a stuffed rabbit into the crook of her arm when she's supposed to be napping. She told me she wants to build empathetic algorithms, machines that can tell when your voice sinks because life got heavy and respond like a person who actually hears you. We'll protect your childhood first, I said to Rosa on the South Lawn, because the world is greedy and the world is loud, and brilliance deserves quiet as much as applause. And I thought about wealth, not the kind with tickers and indexes, the kind you measure in second chances and open doors, and the exact instant a man realizes his heart didn't die with his wife after all. She once told her mom she'd saved 3 things that night: Aegis, Rosa's life, and my heart. And I don't know which one embarrasses me more, that a child said it, or that it's true. So here's where I leave you for now. A tower that still bears my name. A city reflected in its windows. A little girl who broke the worst kind of code and rewrote a better one in all of us. And a question that won't let me sleep sometimes. In the good way, did we do enough? Is redemption a payment plan or a daily decision? You tell me. If this story hits you over morning coffee or right before lights out, if it makes you angry or makes you hopeful, if you think Damon deserved prison or a second chance, if you think corporate mercy is marketing or the start of something honest, drop your take, argue it out, and share it with someone who needs a reason to believe people can change. You know what I mean?